How's everybody doing out there? Tuesday, day two, day 2 of early voting, and we already have an incident. What do y'all think about that, huh? And it's only day 2 of early voting, day 2, and we already have an incident happening. If y'all check our feed, we got it going on there. Um, Apparently, somebody got a little brushed up or roughed up. We're wait. Of course, the police report isn't ready right away. So what we're doing is we're just gonna go ahead and wait. But we've been looking into, investigating, looking into different people, how they responded, what was their story, anything that we could find out there, social media, and we put it all together for you in that video. So tonight we're gonna have Ramsey English-Cantu. We're waiting for him to log on, and we'll go ahead and interview him. We're gonna have a conversation with him. I will take the opportunity right now, uh, Judge David Salcedo, if you're watching, or if anybody from his um, if anybody's watching from his camp or his campaign, we urge you, reach out to us, have a conversation. It's nothing adversarial whatsoever. It's just an introduction. Well, not an introduction, right? But get to know you, have a conversation with not only me, but our viewers here. And one thing I do want to ask you guys before uh, going any forward is that if you can please like, heart, care, even put a mad face. I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you can click on an emoji, click a like, click a heart, it would be great. And also, if you can take the time real quick while we're here waiting a little bit, to share this video, because it is important for the community here, our community, Maverick County, to know who is out there to be elected, know who is are the candidates directly. Because if you don't um, recognize, or you're not aware of who someone is, or what someone is thinking of doing, or the story on somebody, you want to know these elected officials, since you are the one hiring them, you are the one voting for them, you are the one that's going to be keeping them accountable. So you kind of want to get to know what they're about, their history, their what they talk about, any kind of uh, any kind of item that can make you feel a little bit knowing and a little bit better in selecting him or her, whatever race it is, makes you a little bit more comfortable with them, in charge. So that's what we here are trying to do, is bring you guys a little bit closer to our candidates. Um, of course, like I said, tonight we do have Ramsey English-Cantu. He is a former mayor, a long-standing. I think it was 10 years as a city mayor, city of Eagle Pass. Um, he was there a long time, and we did see a lot of projects come up and everything. There was even a thing where um, a lot of things we hear that they don't get along. First of all, I mean, you hear in a lot of the videos, and we got some questions for the mayor, former mayor Ramsey English-Cantu. We're not gonna shy back and not tiptoe around this, tiptoe around that. We have we're interested in something. If you have any questions you want to ask them directly, and we have some time, I urge you guys, and I ask you guys to please put them in the comments. We'll try to go back and answer to them if once we get done with having a conversation, getting to know the candidate Ramsey English-Cantu. Um, and asking them, some things that we're curious about. The whole. I've seen David Salcedo come out with videos, saying that in fact that Ramsey and him are related. Okay, so there's that they're second cousins or something. So that's one thing that's interesting. But there's also been the other side where they can't get along, and we'll ask Ramsey English-Cantu, see what he has to say about that. And you know I had I guess a unique honor. I had a unique honor. I've actually worked for both of them, and that's interesting to some effect. Not, I guess, not directly, because of course you know that the city mayors don't function with direct supervision over the employees. How that works is that they have a city manager, and the manager is over the employees, right? So that's a little bit different of the structure between the city and the county. Is that typically you don't have mayor or city council as directly involved with the employees, as per the charter. And on the other hand, with the Maverick County Commissioners Court is actually the whole thing that makes the decisions. That everything gets passed through Commissioners Court, the hiring, the terminations, everything has to go and get approved through Commissioners Court. So that's one of the major differences between what the city is and what the county is. Now, one of the things that we will be bringing up, I think somebody posted about it. Let's see, what was the incident? Saw the video, but wasn't telling. Okay, well, from what I gathered on the information that I have right now, of course, like I said, we're gonna look for the incident report with PD once it becomes available. Um, I'm not sure if it's Wednesdays and Fridays that the police reports are available, but we do want to get a hand on that, because we just want to know what the truth is. Because when they say, on different whenever something happens, it's you have three sides. It's his side, her side, and the truth, right? So right now we've heard, one side of what happened. We want to get what the truth is, and basically, I mean, more often than not, what you find on a police report is the facts, is the truth. So we want to have him. Um, we want to get that, available for you guys, so you guys can see actually what happened. So far, what we have and what we've seen in social media and videos, that there was an incident where a gentleman did get pushed by a county employee. Um, so I'm, like I said, I'm not sure 100% true. I'm going on what we have seen in social media or the videos that have come out. We have the actual person that got pushed. His daughter posted, and if you see the video that we posted about it, shortly after Mr. Cantu's um, talking about the situation, right after we show you a screenshot where the daughter of the person that got pushed, shoved. I mean, that's what that says right there. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. I was not there. This is the only information I have seen so far. I'm just trying to follow leads and try to find out, excuse me, what happened. We ran into, of course, Ramsey's a video he posted. He gave us a version of what happened. Um, the daughter of the person that said, like I said, the individual that got pushed, his daughter named the person and said he was pushed. We have it on our feed. It should be one of the last ones we posted. And if you wait for the end of the video, it'll go ahead and tell you right there. It's a screenshot of another live that was going on that we noticed that we were watching, and we noticed that somebody had posted that. And I won't say names, but we do have the picture up. So if you wanted to go ahead and take a look at that. Um, And we'll ask Ramsey himself about the situation since he did make a video about it. So thank you guys for coming on. We have a good, strong crowd of 76 live viewers right now, and we're just waiting for Ramsey to jump on, and we'll go ahead and start this show up, guys. One of the things I do want to say real quick, the sponsor of this podcast, the Rising Texan podcast, for this episode where we're interviewing Ramsey English-Cantu. This is sponsored by re-elect Roberto Ruiz for County Commissioner, Precinct 4. He's sponsoring this podcast today with our interview with Ramsey English-Cantu. So, guys, in the comments, who do you guys think that's gonna, while we wait, who do you guys think is gonna win? All I see is Team Ramsey coming out in the comments. It's several people, as you can see. I have not seen yet a Team Salcedo. Do we have any Team Salcedo out there? Any Team Salcedo? No, haven't seen any. All right. Woo, that's a lot of them. Okay. Paco, how you guys doing? Guys, visit the Wagon Wheel, Del Rio Boulevard, and their new location, 1824 Del Rio Boulevard, or give them a call for some awesome barbecue, guys. All right. All right, guys. Well, we have Ramsey's on backstage ready to come out. So we're going to go ahead and introduce him. Guys, thank you for tuning in once again. We have Ramsey English-Cantu, candidate for Maverick County judge.
How's everybody? Hello.
Hey, how's it going? How you doing, Ramsey?
How are you all doing? I'm doing great. Just coming in straight from some block walking events and, of course, some very long days over at the multipurpose center. So here at the campaign headquarters and just working to make sure that we can continue getting as many votes out as possible throughout this absentee period. So I appreciate the time, Isaac, that we can chat today and kind of answer questions and kind of just go from there on the discussion and the conversation that we'll be having at this point. I apologize for the appearance, but like I said, you're seeing me in full campaign mode to make sure that we can continue to get our message across to the voters, which is most important to me here in Maverick County.
No, absolutely, and we're a little casual here, as you can see. I don't try to impress myself. I just come in, and you know how it is.
Should have worn a cap then, if that's the case. We fit in perfectly.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask you, of course, immediately, you're coming from the campaign is everything. Thank you for joining us. We know that during the campaign, especially with the election going on, it could be kind of busy, kind of hectic and everything. So we thank you for that. So how's it going? I mean, 600 votes on Monday. How many were there tonight?
Today we were looking at 471, roughly. I believe it was 471. So we have a total of 632 yesterday. I think it came out to about 1,103 that have voted already in total these last 2 days. There at the multipurpose center for early voting. So it's been, yesterday was a great day. Today as well. Great people that have been coming out and obviously expressing their support for change in Maverick County. So we've been really just working to make sure that the citizens of this community take advantage, as we all should, as citizens of this great nation, to express the importance of our democratic process and to utilize one of the most sacred gifts that we have from of course our forefathers and more than anything our veterans who have fought for these rights that we have, to go out and vote. This is something that is crucial in our community, and I am very, honored to be part of the process, to be an option for our community, our citizens, to evaluate and to obviously make a change that, in my opinion and in the opinion of many, know that there is change that is wanted here in Maverick County. We are living it daily. I am seeing it daily on the campaign trail, and we are doing all that we can in order to make sure that we have information that is portrayed over to our voters on a daily basis, and visiting with people on a daily basis, just to get that message across.
Wow, that sounds like you've been pretty busy out there. Let me ask you one thing. How is the jump coming up from, as a former mayor, now going into, being in charge of a county if elected? What's the difference for you? Is it a big stepping stone, or what kind of changes would you have to do, if any?
I was blessed for 10 years to serve as mayor of our city, nearly 15 years with the city in total. Had 4 years prior to that, that were as a council member, and as mayor. That was one of the greatest honors of my life, to represent the community and the constituency of the city of Eagle Pass. And I know that, we did a lot while we were there. And it's a good question to ask if this is considered a stepping stone. I consider the positions as an opportunity to serve. I don't consider them as a position to keep trying to move up in any way. I served as mayor for that long. I took a sabbatical, obviously, from politics for about these last couple of years. It's been about maybe 3 years. But during that time, I still served, working as the regional political director for Senator Roland Gutierrez. And with that time, while I was still working the district, Senate District 19, and traveling with the senator and addressing issues of that, to me, it was always more important, to serve my community directly. And this had been something that I had been contemplating even while I was mayor, to consider, of course, the run for county judge. And many people during my time in office were very supportive of me taking on a decision like that. And this was something that, I had to think long and hard, obviously, for some time, in order to make what is the best informed and decision, I guess I should just say, in order to take that step, or to take on that challenge. And I believe that this has been, one of the greatest decisions, obviously, that I have made, because I've come to learn so much that has been going on, and the failed leadership that has been at Maverick County for so long. As mayor, I serve the citizens of this community within city limits. We were looking at nearly 30,000 individuals. There's an additional 30 plus that are, in total, when we look at the county as a whole, over 65,000 that we're looking at. And when you look at that issue and you see how Maverick County's colonias have been underserved and have not been given the service that they deserve, that's where I have to come in and say, it's disappointing to see that a county judge who has been part of an administration for well over 30 years, served as a commissioner, knows what the needs are directly from a precinct, and yet cannot seem to understand what his true job description is. If you are not going to serve the people of this county, see the issues that we're dealing with. Are we still there?
Yeah, I can hear you. It looks, there you go.
Are we still there?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yes.
Yes, we're good. I can hear you. I hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
You can hear me? All right.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No, no problem.
So that has been, of course, the issue that we are, that I've seen. What I know that we need to work on, is to address those needs. And that's why this decision for me was very clear, basically because I wanted to make sure that our constituency actually had the representation that it should have. And that's why I made the decision. When talking to people and seeing how the issues are across the county, it's disappointing that people can't even communicate with their county judge. They can sometimes, with certain commissioners, barely even communicate with them. And that is where I find it very heartbreaking that when I was mayor, I was the first mayor to actually set up an office at City Hall. Mayors never had an office at City Hall. I mean, it was, something where they came into the council meetings, they did their work, they worked together with, the base of city administration, and that was it. But when I took that role, and back in 2010, my intentions were to make sure that I could leave this position at one point, basically understanding that I did all that I could. I was a hands-on mayor. I worked hard, and Isaac, you were a city employee at one time. You worked with me on a couple of things. I remember, you coming into my office to address certain issues on grants and to see what we could do to bring in more funding for our city. That's what was important to me. Some people may say, well, that wasn't the role of the city mayor. Well, it might not have been the role, but it was the role that I decided to take on. It was a role that I took a lot of passion for, because when I took that oath of office, I took it seriously. And I know that, that we've had great mayors, we've had great council members, but I just wanted to make sure that we were actually taking this a step further. In my opinion, when I do things, I always do things with the intention of raising the bar, of raising expectations, of working with people in order to bring out the best in a group of individuals that is going to be the best for our community. And we may not always agree, but we're going to agree to disagree, and we're still going to be respectful, and we're still going to continue working for the best interest of the community or the entity of which I am working for. So my decisions were very clear. Public service was the number one reason why I decided, of course, to run for county judge.
Now, what's one of the first things?
Let me see here, because maybe I'm not as techie as I should, but I can't hear you actually on our end. Let me see if.
Can you hear us now? Hello? You hear me now? Hello? 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 You hear me?
You can hear me, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
I just can't hear you. I don't know if it's something with a mic or.
How about now? Everybody says that they hear both of us. How about now? Can you hear me now? No. Mute your mic there. Mute there. Mute my mic. My mic's on. See, we get. Yeah, there's
Maybe if you mute and unmute, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I tried that. Let me try it again. Let's see here. Both of us, we just can't hear each other. Edit mic. How about now? Nothing? Hello, hello.
No.
Should we, I guess, do a new live, or we have we have 125 people watching right now. Ooh. There you go. I think. Sorry about that, guys. If you guys just want to wait real quick, we're gonna try to get him back to log in. That way we can go ahead and finish up. Sorry about the incident here. Technical difficulties. Technology moves so fast. Comes with some mistakes here and there every once in a while, right? So guys, hold on. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're gonna try to get him back on. We're gonna try to get him back on right now. We already sent him a message so he can log on using the same link. But guys, as you see, it's getting pretty good in our interview. Interesting stuff coming from the former mayor, candidate for Maverick County judge, Ramsey English-Cantu. And we're awaiting. Guys, if you have any questions at all, okay. Let's see, Ramsey popped up. If you have any questions and we have enough time, put them in the
All right, I think we're on there.
There you go.
There we go.
Good?
We're good.
All right. Guys, thanks for holding on there. We're back. Everything's working now. So where were we?
Public service. That
Yes.
was one, of course, the main issues that we've been obviously why I've been, and that's why we've been involved, obviously, Isaac, for so long. That's been my main focus in this community, to give back, to focus on what we can do to make it a better place than what we found it. And that, while many people may think and may say, well, that's a very political thing to say, I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself someone who actually works for this community and for the people of this community. That's why I have done so much to try to give back and to make it a better place. As a young person, I was elected at 22 to the city council, at 26 as mayor. I gave my youth to this community. While, and that was one of the things that was always, I think, something that was very critical during my earlier years. Many people, were kind of like, well, he's too young. Well, you're too young, you're too old, when is the right time there, and that's the one thing where I know that people, despite my early youth into the political arena, can see with their own eyes what we were able to accomplish, because we had a vision for our community. We saw so many people, and so many of my classmates at that time, that had left off to college, had done, they went off, they went away, and some of them came back, some of them didn't. I stayed here, I got my degree here, I worked and did everything that I needed to do in order to make sure that I completed my education as well. Took time within my political time frame there as well, working to get that. But it was a commitment that I had for my city, and not many people, I think, will commit in such a way that when you look at the mayor's role or when you look at the council's role, I mean, if you go into those positions, you're not going in it for the money, that's for sure. Because as you know, the council members, they make, $10 a month, and after taxes, it's $923. And that was a commitment that I made to even move forward in this, to move this city in the right direction. I'm committed fully. Even then, committed extremely full here and now, as the campaign. And I think that we need to do all that we can in order to make sure that we have the right people who actually do this because they care and not because they have political agendas. And I think that that's something that you see right now in my opponent. He may claim that he cares so much, or that, that there's so much, that he wants to do. Well, you've been there for 30 years. What have you done? What can you say you've accomplished? Nothing. Nothing. And that's the disappointing thing, is that, somebody told me the other day, they asked me a question, and I thought about it, and they said, what is the most unethical thing that you've done as a public figure? And I think that it's taken me a while to really come up with anything, because I always took such, strong stances in everything that we did with public finance, with how we handled issues, the respect that we needed to have for the people that worked with us and our citizens. And I think that the most unethical thing that I ever did was at one point support my opponent. And that,
how long ago was that?
was a long time ago, let me tell you. That has to, I think, have been probably the worst thing that I have done, that I actually was involved in campaigning at one point for this individual. And when you see how this person has evolved over years to being the tyrant and dictator that he is, that's where we should all be opening our eyes and realizing what it is that we have at the county courthouse. It's a disappointment. It is a lack of respect, an individual who does not respect, who's not transparent, and who truly doesn't care about the people, because if he did, he'd be walking areas that he has yet to provide answers to, for services that are basic needs for these people. And that's disappointing. That's where we have to work to bring in people who are the right people, the ones that are going to work for our citizens. My opponent is basically a bully. That's all he is. That's all he'll ever be. And he's going to bully his, way to try to weasel people into voting for him and doing things and making promises. But times have changed. Maverick County is not a community that can be driven that way from the citizens. And that's the one thing that I am, extremely proud of, that this city has, or this community, this county, Eagle Pass, Normandy, Quemado, El Indio, have all realized, in my time that I've been out there walking, have all realized what it is that they have in the county judge's office. And I think that we should be not tired, but exhausted with what we're seeing from the county judge's office. It is, something that we all need to seriously consider and work to bring the change that is deserved there at Maverick County.
Now I've seen him. He's come out in some videos saying, hey, we're cousins. So confirming you guys are, for those that don't know, second cousins.
Yeah, down the line, there is a relationship, and I mean, we can't deny it. I do believe that when we look at this issue, that, the one thing that I can always tell you that I think is a bit humorous, I find it to be funny, if anything, le digo, and you have to find, I think, the humor in these types of political issues. Le digo, I think that many of y'all know that I was very ill about 2.5 years ago, went through a whole surgery, thankfully nothing that was cancerous or not, but had to go through a blood transfusion. So I say the blood is not in the veins anymore, if anything. That's for sure. That has been literally taken out and wiped out completely. And there's, reasons why in this dispute, with what we're seeing. And I think that, people understand, people see it. People who are involved in the political scene know why.
Well,
Um,
can you elaborate a little
you
bit
just
more on that?
you kind of went,
Nope.
yeah, I can't hear you anymore.
No, you're kidding me.
I'm going to sign back in. Give me a quick second. I
Okay,
don't know
no,
what's
you're
going on
fine.
here.
You're fine. Guys, we don't know what is going on. Just a little, I guess, a tick or something like that on a device. But stay tuned. Right now, we're just getting to the bottom, just getting to the point where we're going to ask, or where we're asking Ramsey about what cause there is.
All
There
right,
we
I'm
go. Okay,
back.
we're good.
Mhm.
So okay, you guys are second cousins. You said right now that or cousins along the line. You said right now that you even campaigned for him before.
Mhm.
So here we are, present day. You guys are head to head for the county judge, Maverick County judge. What caused that separation? What caused that? I don't
You
know. I don't know what you want to call it, but
Yeah. Let me be very, and I think that it's important to be very honest with the community on this issue. Um, it had been a couple of years back during the time that I was serving as mayor, and this had been quite some time back. I was serving as mayor, and I was working on some major issues that the city, of course, was dealing with. The city had been facing some concerns with Maverick County with debt that was owed to the city. Um, and that was, of course, a struggle because here I am, the mayor of our community, and here he is, the county judge, and ultimately he does not want to pay this debt that is owed. I mean, it was millions of dollars that was owed for EMS services that were being provided to people out in the colonias. And there were issues, that we were working through. And I would go to his office and I would tell him, David, we need to figure out a way to work this out. I cannot present this to the council because it's not fair, one, to the taxpayer for the city to have to be incurring a burden of services that by law the county should be providing to the residents outside of city limits. And they didn't have money. They couldn't find ways to pay it. And I remember that I worked diligently to try to come up with ways for him to do that. Um, and that was the beginning of the break of the relationship. That was the beginning where we basically said, what, and how can we address the issues that you owe to the city and continue to work, in a way that is fair for the citizens of Eagle Pass who were being taxed to also provide a service to people outside of the city, and they were not, because the county wasn't paying us as the mayor. I mean, well, not as the mayor, but as the city. So it was an issue that we were addressing for, I mean, we're talking months and months and months that we were dealing with. And that was the first initial break with this individual. After that came an issue where we were in transition of hiring a new city manager. And this wasn't too long ago. There were issues already that were in place. We were having concerns. David is upset because here I am forcing that he have to pay something and formulate everything in a contract so that everything is legal and that, we have everything very well disputed by a monthly payment, which, by the way, they were, never, the payments were always late. They never made them on time. There's still payments that are in process. It's ridiculous with what Maverick County citizens, can go through because of a simple issue where the county judge, who claims to be such a great administrator, can't even administer having fire protection and EMS protection for his residents who live outside the city. That should be number one, the issue that we're dealing with. And I think, as we see this, there's, everything's great where they can find ways to pay for $150,000 for a party for a political purpose at the lake, which, hey, I'm all for a celebration that's going to leave something permanent in our community, but something that just picked up 150 grand check and walked out of Eagle Pass with nothing being left here, I've got some problems with that. But that's nor here nor there. That's just me going a little bit off there. But what I think that we need to focus on is that was one of the main issues that we had to address. The second issue that just broke all ties was where David, by force, wanted, obviously, for there to be a hiring of a city manager that he wanted the city to hire. And let me tell you something, Isaac. I think that, you as a former city employee, maybe you never worked with me legislatively on legislative issues. That's more, of a council issue. But if there's one thing that I can tell you is that I never have forced a council member to vote a certain way. I gave them the respect that they deserved. I sat with them. I debated with them on issues. I, gained their support on many of the issues and concerns. But never did I have a moment where I sat down and said, you, and you, I need for you to vote this way because this is the way that we're going to do things. That's the David Salcedo way. I work with people. I debate issues. And we try to come to a conclusion that's going to be in the best interest of our community. And that's why David forcing an individual on me as the mayor to promote as the next city manager was very difficult. And that was the issue where I didn't hire that individual, and that individual was being forced on me because that person was going to be running against him for county judge. So he wanted to find ways to take these people away with a hefty salary for city manager, which would be enticing, I would think, right?
Yeah.
And take him away from having that burden of having to deal with a campaign. That's the way he works. And that's why, I found it just disturbing that I said, this is not for me. This is not for Eagle Pass. This is not for the council that I work with. These are not the issues that we're going to be dealing with. And it was something that I made it very clear, to him, that this was, we went through an interview process, went through its due process, which I believe was a very fair process based on the candidates that was there. The individual was still given a common courtesy to be interviewed, but nonetheless, with me, I was very clear and firm that the decisions that I made to hire people were based on qualifications and on what they could bring to the table as a city manager. And that was what we were trying to, deal with issues there. The individual at this point obviously remains as a hiree at Maverick County. So it seems to be one of these things where politics is always paid off somehow, right? And that's just what David has done, I think, his entire 30 years in public service. Political favors, buddies, compadres. And that's all they care about. That's why people over there in Precinct 2 in La Herradura don't have the services that they deserve, or off of Remington don't have a water a sewage line that's been extended, or dealing with issues in Las Quintas with flooding, where you see that constantly during any rainfall. These are the issues that matter to Maverick County, and I'm hopeful that people will get an understanding as to why David and I are not David and I. There's reasons, because when one wants to play politics, I put the people first. David will always put his buddies first before the people.
You're talking about the ones on the yum tree that came out.
Hey, let me tell you about that yum tree. I was impressed with the people that actually may have worked on that, because it was something that I find, one, to be a total disrespect to the citizens of this community. I mean, you have an individual who is chief of maintenance making $60,000 at the sheriff's department. Compadre de David Salcedo. Campaigned for him too. You have a news media source making $65,000 a year basically off the taxpayers of Maverick County. You tell me if that's not compadrismo. If Maverick County cuts that check out, I don't know what Abdon Horta's going to do. And I'm not afraid to mention his name. It's public record. People know. This isn't anything that people are hiding behind. Abdon has had his fair share of attacks on me. And I'm not attacking Abdon in any way, shape, or form. He does his own thing, and he has his backroom deals with, the county judge, and does whatever they want to do. That's their business. But the people of this community have an option to change that type of deal. They have an option to stop that corruption, to stop what we are dealing with and what we're seeing, and ultimately just basically keeping their own people, los huesos que les tiran, así como se dice. Ya basta, tanto hueso. In this case, pues es una rama, pero pues bueno, hey, it is what it is. But I think that it's disappointing, and I think that those issues all need to be evaluated. And I think that when you see that tree, a lot of people think, you're gonna, when you win, what are you gonna do with that? I can tell you, evaluate the situation and see what we're dealing with at Maverick County. That is a major issue. I mean, when you're talking about $2.3 million a year that are going to just salaries for people who are compadres of the judge, well, let me tell you, there are major issues that we are facing in Maverick County that could have been addressed with those $2.3 million a year. And I'm not saying that this is an issue that, we're going to, fire people. Well, we're going to evaluate situations. We're going to look at what's going on. That is not what we're here for. If anything, I want, employees from Maverick County to understand that my purpose here is to make the employees' morale go up. If I were to sit here, Isaac, and tell you how many employees have contacted me, it would be unreal.
Really?
And I think that we're seeing that across the board, not only with employees, but citizens who just want change in general. And this is where we need to focus on making sure that, it's okay. Things are going to get better. I can guarantee you that. Things will change for Maverick County for the better. And that is where, I'm committed to serve in this capacity, because, we don't deserve anybody being told what to do. The judge has said, I don't force the commissioners to do anything, or when there's issues in the precincts, well, that's not my job. That's the commissioner's job. Good. No, you're the county judge, buddy. That's your responsibility to make sure that as the budget officer for the county, you want to make sure that your commissioners are doing their job and that their issues are being addressed in the residents, because at the end of the day, you're signing POs that are approving projects, that are approving expenses, that are approving necessities to make things better in our community. But yet, he's not even doing that. But he's quick to go and make lives with certain media outlets to try to point out deficiencies, which are deficiencies that he's not even allowing to do. Because if you're not a commissioner who plays ball with him, he's not going to sign your POs. Yeah. He's not going to get those issues approved. And it's not affecting the commissioner. It's affecting the residents, who in the end are his constituents. That's what is disgusting. And I say disgusting because it is. It is disgusting because this man does not get what it is to be a public servant. He doesn't understand. He understands what it is to be a bully and a tyrant, but he don't know what it is. He doesn't know what the first thing is about being a public servant.
Well, let's, you mentioned the news medias, right? Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of video, him on a lot more videos than we have the past 8 years, right? All of a sudden, he's always up.
Election time.
I mean, what he claims to tout, what he's done for the county is reduce the debt. This figure, I think, has grown each time he's mentioned it. But can you explain what the situation is with that? Did he really decrease the debt as he's trying to tell us? Because I know he did a big old presentation in the Maverick County Courthouse, and he had signs. He was.
I think he was so proud of those signs. I mean, I have never seen a presentation like that done in Maverick County's Commissioner's Court in my life. And I'll tell you, I've watched a couple of press conferences. I mean, he must have thought that that was like his A-plus project of the year, talking about his finances. Let me tell you, the only thing that David has been able to accomplish is failed leadership. And did he reduce the debt? He reduced the debt. I'll give him credit for doing that. And you want to know how he reduced the debt? By losing Geo. You remember Geo?
Yeah, the
Prison system out there 12 miles out. David lost that prison system because the county went out for a bond of well over $42 million, almost $43 million. And that was money that was coming directly from the taxpayer. Constructed this beautiful facility. Back then, I still remember, Sheriff, that was done during Judge Aranda's term. Sheriff Herrera was involved. There was a lot of movement on that project. It was going to be something that was going to bring in almost $400,000 a year. In payments per year, in order to, it all depended on how many prisoners were going to be in there. There was a guaranteed rate there of how much was going to be done. But if you look at what was going to happen there within that particular prison, they were going to get paid so much money per prisoner. They were going to get a good rate. It was a good project. I'm not going to lie. But then David Salcedo begins to get greedy after Geo's contract expires. And David figures, well, you know what? There's a contract that's out there that's coming in and they're paying me a little bit more money. So I'm going to go and get the federal government to force my hand down there and basically pay me a little bit more like the other ones are paying. And what happened there was that Geo, which was the amount, which was what they were paying, obviously, Geo was paying them directly. Federal government would have come in and said, well, we can pay X amount of dollars, which was going to be a little bit higher than what Geo was paying. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it was a complete issue where David tried to flex a little bit too much. Because let me tell you, negotiation terms are crucial. Yeah. I've been through them. As the mayor, working with city administration, we've had to negotiate a lot of issues for the city. And I was grateful that we've accomplished, great things in negotiations for our community. Issues on, debt with, not debt, but basically projects of expansion for, our International Bridge 2 and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. But when you deal with negotiation, you have to know what it is exactly that you're doing. And this individual tried to chew off way too much that he can chew. And what happened at the end? He lost Geo's contract. He lost the other individuals that were coming in because they weren't going to be able to cut that amount of money. They lost prisoners. They lost the jail at the end because they couldn't make the bond payment. So they had a bond payment that they had to make. The county had already paid $8 million on that bond in order to actually get, to continue with payments for the $43 million. Mm-hmm. They had already paid $8 million. But since he got greedy, like David normally is, what he does is he winds up losing the entire project because of greed. And that had to cover a bond insurance, that the bond insurance covered the bond payment, covered what was pending, and left the county without that debt. But yet the county paid $8 million for a facility at Geo, the prison, paid for it, paid a portion of it, because it was $42 million. And at the end of the day, the county was left with zero. And why? Wow. Because David didn't know what the heck he was doing. David thought that he was Mr. Almighty, the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it was the biggest, I think, that was an enterprise fund for our community, for our county, that was bringing in revenues, and he lost it. So when David says, I lowered the county debt, yes, sir, you did. You lowered the county debt by losing a $43 million facility, and on top of that, losing an additional $8 million of our county tax dollars. That, sir, is not a great leader. That's not even a great administrator. And as the budget officer, you should be ashamed of yourself for actually negotiating these terms and these issues. It's disappointing. The county was at almost $93 million in debt. It lowered it to about, 40 some. And those are the issues where I just come back and think, when people harp on things, they can harp on things all they want, but they're not going to be able to accomplish, anything that has any real substance. And that's why I think that when he talks about the city being in debt, which the mayor came out publicly and talked about, yes, the city has debt. But at the end of the day, you can actually see where that debt went. And that debt was done because during the time that I was in office, I worked to bring down the debt that was owed on the International Bridge 2. And we brought our debt down by nearly $30 million and went out for revenue bonds, which are very different from tax bonds and revenue bonds. A revenue bond is very clear that it is a bond that is issued on your revenues. So all of these projects that we've done and we've accomplished are not even coming from tax dollars. They're coming from the toll fees that are collected at the International Bridge System. Your taxes have not been raised for the city of Eagle Pass in 7 years. Valuations may have gone up, but taxes have not been touched in 7 years to date.
Because your opponent has said that taxes have gone up in the city. I think, a substantial or significant amount since you took over and left.
Let me tell you that my opponent doesn't even know how to read a budget. Okay. And I don't know how he comes up with the 35% mark. If we want to look at it, let's look at his taxes that have actually gone up to the 40% mark.
Oh, wow.
I don't know who his consultants are and how they're working this campaign. I don't know if he's functioning properly anymore. But what I can tell you is that David's numbers are, I think, just as shady as he is. And when you look at his numbers, and he claims that the county has a surplus. The county doesn't have a surplus. The judge, this man seems to think that just because you have cash in the bank, that's surplus. I've studied his budget back and forth. It is one of the most difficult budgets to understand because there is no transparency. That's how he budgeted $150,000 for a little party of his. We want to talk about parties. Let's talk about that one. But he budgeted that very underhandedly in his budget. His budget in the county judge's office is the most padded budget that I've ever seen. And we all need to know that. Go to the website. Anybody can see this on the county website. It is disturbing how this man operates. And I hope, and I know that people have seen this over the years, that, they obviously want change, but we need to make sure that we bring that change this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's been several things that, one of the things that we talked about that the judge has been going on with videos and talking about, the $145 million in debt. He's talked about the trash service that he says that you were trying to take away from county residents and not provide them. Can you explain a little bit about that and how that situation came around?
In regards to the trash collection?
Yes.
For many years, the issue there was that we were assuming, for many years we had Waste Management, a contracted company that came in and handled the garbage collection service for the city. And there came a point when their fees were just a little too outrageous. We took a very aggressive stance and decided, if we can come up with agreements with the county, we can handle our own collection for trash service. And the issue there ultimately at the end of the day was that we needed to come up with the most effective and efficient trash collection service while still maintaining a way to go out later on for additional revenue bonds with what was going to be collected. The city had to assure first the service of the city resident, which was my responsibility as the mayor. It is my responsibility to make sure that the city residents have what is needed. The responsibility of the county resident lies in the hands of the county judge and commissioner's court. So when we talked about colonias, we talked about El Indio, Normandy, Quemado, areas where they just wouldn't come to agreements to certain fees and collections. And mind you, it is a basically a whole format that we had to go through in order to address this issue. The garbage collection came down to at the end where we agreed that the fees would be charged. There was an additional fee that was being paid that would be paid by the county residents. It was nothing that was absorbent from there, but it was based on the issues of which we were facing. First, we had a responsibility for the city resident in providing this service. And that's why at that time, when we were going through it, we had to buy new trucks. We had to buy the collection station, that we needed to work out agreements on the landfill situation. I mean, there was a whole, array of issues that we were dealing with. But we came out with the best solution. But David can't seem to realize that, when we did all this, we did it in order to make sure that his residents were going to have the collection service. Because at the end of the day, the city could have opted and said, well, we can't afford to do all of these areas in collection services and, not charge the adequate amount. It was a service. The garbage collection system at the city is an enterprise fund. And when we're dealing with an enterprise fund, we're dealing with it just like the bridge system. We deal with it just like the garbage collection system. Okay. Those are separate funds that are worked out differently. Mm-hmm. The issue at the end was worked out. It may not have been what he had wanted at the time, but we offered, if the county is willing to join in and give us, or join in on the project and see how we can do it, we'd be more than happy to sit down and discuss that. But did he ever want to do that? No. Why? Because the county was broke. They had no money. And they continue to say that that right now they're in the black, and they're, well, your books are fictitious. They're not even, and I'll tell him to his face. It's what I have seen is that things are not as real as he claims them to be. It is a fiction. The issue is completely off balance. And I think that, we need to do everything that we can in order to address these issues. I think that there are definitely ways for us to lower costs for everybody if everybody is really working together. But when you have somebody like David in office who just wants his way and nobody else's way, well, you can't really accomplish a whole lot that way. And that's why I know that, we'll be able to do some great things in Maverick County if given the opportunity, when given the opportunity to serve as your judge. But we need people to understand the issues that, he has failed on and he has failed us, and how we can make things better.
Awesome. That's good. And just before we let you go, there was an incident. We saw this video come on your Facebook, and there was a police officers there. Of course, I think we saw 3 vehicles that responded. There was an issue with some kind of pushing, some kind of violence going on or something.
Yes, unfortunately, that happened today, and I am was a little shocked, to see that happening at the multipurpose. I've been part of many election processes as mayor, and even in the county races, have been part of them, and I've never seen anything like that before happen actually inside the polling place, where an individual, an elderly man, was shoved by one of David Salcedo's employees, and that is disturbing, because hay un dicho de que dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. And these are the people that are supposed to be serving our constituency. They're supposed to be serving you, the residents of this community. And when that happened, I was absolutely, appalled to see that, the issue in general, but for that man to shove an elderly individual is disturbing, and it's unnecessary. It is a incident of abusive behavior, and obviously the judge condones it, because those are people that have been, that are part of his team. And I just hope that something actually does happen there where they actually do look at it. And I'm not doing this to point it at any individual or any employee. I would just believe that protocols would be followed properly in order to address the issues and to investigate the issues the way that they should. But the individual was shoved inside the polling place. Today, after all of that happened, I did personally reach out to the mayor and city manager, and to assure that voters or people that are there at the site are not in any way, shape, or form, affected in any way, abused in any way. I've had this discussion with them, and they've guaranteed that there will be police presence in order to maintain order, which is something that the judge should be doing as the sitting judge, is maintaining order, maintaining control. Today, there was a unit that actually parked specifically in front of our campsite, to address from precinct 4, actually, and just parked there for well over probably 2 hours. Just parked, never got off the car, but stayed there in front of our campsite. And these are the type of intimidation tactics that we're dealing with. But I'm not afraid of David Salcedo, and he should know that, and I think he does know that. And I don't think that any individual in this community should ever be afraid of anyone like him. He is a dictator. He is a tyrant. He is a person who does not deserve to be called judge. That is a title of honor, of integrity. And those are two qualities that I can guarantee you that David Salcedo does not have in his system. That's for sure. So I invite our voters, to come out with the confidence that we will do everything possible to make sure that it is a safe site. We can guarantee you that. We are going to do everything possible in order to make sure that that is protected, that the integrity of this election is protected as well, not only at the ballot box, but on the outside. That is my goal as a candidate. That is my goal as a public servant. And I know that together, we will be able to one day, of course, make things greater for this community that we all love. We've lived through this for, I think, far too long. And I believe that we're ready for the change that needs to come to Maverick County.
No, absolutely. And one of the things that I wanted to clear up, that it just popped in my mind, because I do know both you and David have been back and forth on who's bullying or what camp is bullying. What would you say to that? I think I saw a comment that he was watching. So if he is watching, what would you say as to who's really being the bully here?
If I were to tell you that right now, and if he is watching, well, shout out to David. I'll basically tell you this: I think that it's very clear who the bully has been in this process. Hasn't been just during the campaign. It's been throughout his 12 years of service. He's bullied people. He's bullied department heads. He's bullied elected officials. He's bullied women. He has bullied voters. He has bullied every and single way that he can. That is what he is. Him. And then there's some other commissioners there that join in with him. And I'll tell you one thing. Today, I experienced it from people who are not even part, or that are part of his team, his political team, but want to play the victim. That's a bigger bully when they turn around and do that. I know, yo no fui. That's the way these people are. Tiran la piedra y escondan la mano. We don't need those type of people in office. We don't need those type of people that are even anywhere near the courthouse. We're talking about integrity here. We're talking about how we can make things better for Maverick County. These issues are not. I mean, the bullying is going to stop. I can guarantee you on March 1st. That's when we're going to send a very clear message to David that his services are no longer needed. We need to make a change. And I know that the people of this community are ready to do that. And we're going to do that with a very strong message this 1st of March. On March 2nd, I feel for some of those employees and for some of those people, because there's going to be a lot of people that David's going to be upset at. Regardless, win or lose, that's the way he works. Agárranse, como dicen. El diablo se va a soltar. And that's where we need to be very firm in how we send this message. No se confían, por favor. Do not be confident. We can't be. We need to make sure that everybody's out there working, hustling, calling their neighbors, their family members, because the only way that we are doing this is if we are going to go full force and bring our people with us. That's how we send strong messages. And I can tell you, we're seeing it. Day 1, day 2, 1,103 voters. A lot of people want change. But be the change. Be the change that you want for Maverick County. And the only way you're going to do that is when you go to that ballot box and you fill in that little bubble. And I ask that you fill in that little bubble for yours truly. That way we can bring that change that everybody wants.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time. Ramsey, we know that campaigning, we know it's busy. We know you just came from the polling site and everything. So we really appreciate you taking time. As promised, you did tell us before the day that you announced that you would have an interview with us. Unfortunately, your opponent still hasn't responded to our messages to request for an interview. Judge Salcedo, if you are watching, as we saw that you were earlier, hey, hit us up. There's a lot of interesting things that Ramsey just told us right now. Ramsey, how do you think that day 1 and day 2, are you confident in the way things are going? I mean, I know you're saying you can't get complacent and everything, but is it, I mean, how's it looking?
You know, it is looking great because the people are coming out to vote. And that's why I believe that when you have your strength in numbers, and that's where I believe that, you know, we need to continue focusing on that. That's where our focus is. You know, I thank all of those voters that have come out, whether they voted for me, whether they voted for my opponent, whatever it is. That's where we need to address, you know, and make sure that people get out, because that's where people sometimes can become complacent, just like people become complacent after being in office for more than 12 years. So that's how we need to bring change. So do not stay home. Do not stay at work. By law, everybody has an hour to go and vote. And if you're at home, great. Take some time, you know, and come out to the voting site. I invite you this week. You know, we're going to be out there until 8 to 5 every day from until now and Friday. And then Saturday as well, 8 to 5. Sunday is going to be from 9 to 3. And then the following week, the polls will be closed on Monday. But from Tuesday to Friday, they'll be open from 7 to 7. So they're extended hours next week. So take some time and invest in your county. And when I say invest in your county, I mean invest in a leader who's going to actually work to bring change. Not just say that they do or that they are the change, when the only change, you know, that I think that they've ever dealt with is the 50 cents they've paid at a Coke machine. Because that's not much change that David has ever dealt with. And I know that I am committed and ready to bring that and to work hard with our state, with our federal officials, with our agencies in order to address the needs of Maverick County.
All right. Well, once again, thank you, Ramsey English-Cantu, candidate for Maverick County Judge. We hope to be hearing you again sometime soon. Sure. And thanks again for hanging out with us for a little bit over an hour and reaching out to our community.
No, well, I appreciate it very much. And I thank you all for the time. Hopefully we'll be able to meet again, maybe have another conversation, take some questions. I know that today was kind of a lot about some stuff, but we'd love to maybe sit in with you all again, or with you, Isaac, to kind of answer some of those questions directly. That's the one thing that I'm always about, is having communication directly with the residents of this community. And despite whether the question is negative or positive, I'm sure that there have been, I can't see the questions that are, if there's anything being asked on the sites, but nonetheless, I'm always available to address those issues. I'm available to address of this community, and we're ready to serve.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that would be great. I'm
I
sure.
think I can't hear you.
Oh no.
Did that happen? Do I need to leave and come back?
Yeah, I mean, well, we already kind of finished.
Okay.
We can hear you, so it's all good. We'll go ahead and sign you off, and we'll see you back hopefully sometime next week or something.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it very much, Isaac. And we're here to be in contact with you at any time. Thank you all again, and thank you to everybody on the Rising Texan for listening today.
Appreciate it. Guys, well, thank you for joining in tonight. We had a real good show. A lot of viewers popped in. A lot of people were in the comments. Sorry, guys, I wasn't paying too much attention to the comments. I wanted to give you guys a good interview, well thought out, not with too many pauses. So we were focusing more on our interview than our actual comments coming in. But you did see that the Ramsey English-Cantu, candidate for Maverick County judge, he did mention that he would take some questions at another interview that he'll have with us. So that's a great opportunity. If you guys have any questions, send us a message, a WhatsApp, send us a text, give us a call. That way we can go ahead and get some questions in, even if they're in the comments in that days. So we'll go ahead and plan for that sometime next week. Of course, we're still looking for you for more opportunities to interview some of these candidates for elected office. We do have some that are going to be coming in sometime this week. Look out for that. We usually announce them a couple of hours before, the morning of the day, once we have a confirmation. But thank you guys for joining in. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Sponsor of this podcast, the Re-elect Roberto Ruiz for Maverick County Commissioner Precinct 4 campaign. Political advertisement paid for by the candidate. Viva Canine Dog Training, Grooming, and Boarding Center, 830-513-3523. The Wagon Wheel, 830-513-7250. Go check out the new location on 1824 Del Rio Boulevard. You could also donate to us directly with Cash App, $, the Rising Texan Media. Guys, this has been a great show. We appreciate for all of you that tuned in. We had a little over 192 viewers at one point, so I really appreciate you guys tuning in to listen to what one of these candidates has to say. We're hoping, I think somebody in the comments had mentioned something about David Salcedo watching. Judge, if you are watching, I urge you to answer my messages and schedule a interview with us. It's conversational. I mean, whatever you got to say, you got to say. And I'm sure we would, the audience would love having an interview with us. And thank you more than anything than to the viewers, because viewers, this is because of you. This is why we have these shows. This is why we take the time to, research some of these things going on and everything. I urge you to support our sponsors. If you can't support us directly, please support our sponsors. They assist us to keep this show going as well. So we appreciate all the help that we get. I want to, again, lastly, say that we will be interviewing other officials or people running for office very soon. Please, if you haven't already, like this video, like this post, share this post with friends, tag somebody on the comments if you want. This is one of our county judge candidates for Maverick County. We're trying to get the other one in, guys, but not like Ramsey said, he will sit down with us again and take some questions from the audience as well. If you guys have any questions, any concerns, you can always message us directly as well. Make sure you're following our page, Isaac Reese, TRT, for all the latest. We like to keep up with the election, latest news, what's going on, any kind of under the curtain, behind the curtain type of news. We got you guys on that, so make sure you follow us on the Rising Texan. Good night.